Welcome into a Saturday edition of Lawrence Tech Basketball on LTSN, a WAC matchup, the second of the season between the Gray Wolves and Blue Devils. Lawrence Tech pulled off the comeback of the year the last time they squared off against Lourdes. Lourdes arrived about an hour and a half ago from Sylvania, Ohio. We'll get into that comeback throughout the night. Meanwhile, Nicole Buckingham off the mark on her first jump shot. Starting five for Lourdes coming the other way. You have Jamie Hardy, Sarah Semler, Samantha Ennick, Christiana Jefferson, Hunter Kershaw going up against Caitlin Smith, Taryn Klein, Kendall Fisher, Nicole Buckingham, and Rachel Price defensively for the Blue Devils. I'm Jason Ross Jr. on hand with our excellent LTSN crew on a Saturday afternoon. Temperatures are finally back up, and the Blue Devils are hoping to put together a win streak. Beat Madonna. It's been a long time off since that Madonna game on January 23rd, now February 2nd. First game in the month of February. That jumper off, and back comes the speedy Kendall Fisher. Klein, the entry to Price, and an easy first bucket for the Blue Devils. Rachel Price, so good defensively. Getting it done on the offensive end there and opening up the scoring. It's Christiana Jefferson, the 5'6" guard from Toledo. That should be a fun matchup down low. Price going up against Hunter Kershaw. Kershaw off the mark and Price the board. 6'1" versus 6 feet down there this afternoon. Fisher stops, pops, and hits. Kendall Fisher leading all freshmen in scoring in the WAC conference this season. And she is making her 5th consecutive start. CJ Banis, who has missed the last 4, the reason why Fisher was originally inserted into the starting crew, is back on the bench. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the afternoon. This team is so deep at the guard position. Meanwhile, 7 on the shot clock for Lourdes. A couple of good opening possessions defensively for the Blue Devils, and they'll slow it up here and get into their set. It was an awful start, a start to forget certainly the last time they played Lourdes, as Buckingham drains the jumper from 3. It's a 7-0 start for Lawrence Tech here inside of the Riddler. Complete opposite of how they started the game last time in Sylvania, Ohio in January. 7-0 Blue Devils, a couple of minutes in. A WAC affair inside of the Riddler. Pleasure to be with you. We'll head to a quick breather. Be back in about 60 seconds. Welcome back to Don Riddler Fieldhouse. A 7-0 start for Blue Devils. Couldn't have dreamt up a better start defensively and offensively. Starts to games have been the problem at times this season for the Blue Devils. Spotty offense at times, but they're coming off their best offensive performance of the season, hoping to continue that momentum into February. As triggering from 3 as Hardy gets her own rebound, but then had it ripped away by Klein. The Fort Wayne, Indiana native gives it over to her fellow Indiana native, Kendall Fisher. Caitlin Smith. Buckingham looking for her 2nd consecutive bucket and finds it. That time from 15 feet, and it's 9-0 Blue Devils out of the gates. Meanwhile, Lourdes 0 for 5. Christiana Jefferson going up against Smith there. Will give it back to Hardy, and she travels. So this inauspicious start for Lourdes leads to some early substitutions. It's Sydney Miller coming in along with Miranda Green. And unhappy with this start, and rightfully so, is John Kenger. Lourdes comes in at 9-14 on the season. Inconsistency has probably been the primary issue. 4-10 in conference play. But hanging on to what would be the final playoff spot right now in 8th. But they could still fall out of that spot. So every game magnified, as is for the Blue Devils as well, as Buckingham is called for the travel. Blue Devils are currently 6th in the conference. The top goal down the final stretch of the season with 6 games left for LTU probably has to be claiming what could be a first-round home playoff spot. You need to be in the top 4 to host a playoff round. As I mentioned, they are 6th in the conference right now. And just 2.5 back of 4th. It's a 4th place spot that Siena Heights holds as Lourdes finally gets on the board. We'll get into the scenarios throughout the afternoon, but it feels like the Blue Devils need to win out if they want to claim the 4th spot. And once again, I'll get into that throughout the night. Buckingham turns, hooks, and hits 11-2, and Nicole has 5 of those 11 points. 4 minutes in. Blue Devils have flipped the scripts from the first meeting between these two teams. Lourdes jumped out to a 31-11 lead when these two teams met up last month, as that shot is waved off due to a travel that was called prior to the attempt. And here is C.J. Banis. Hasn't played in 4 games and checks in here for Taryn Klein. The senior she is the all-time leader in assists for this program, and she gets the ball here. Such a smart player, 2-sport athlete, getting ready for softball season as well. Nice cut. Smith, ball was a bit too far ahead of her. And back out to Fisher. Now the entry for Buckingham. She was doubled, found a cutting Price, who was fouled, and she earned a couple of free throws. Price is an 81% free throw shooter. Obviously a positive asset when you're a player that's in the paint most of the time. And she's at 6'1", most of the time taller than everyone else out on the floor, so oftentimes getting hacked and oftentimes making these free throws. Goes 2 for 2 right on cue. And Danielle Hansen will check into the game for the first time. Danny has started 20 of 25 games. When she plays well, this team really plays well. Closes well defensively there, but hauling in the rebound right off the bench was Razane Newberry. Miranda Green off the bench as well. Driving, slicing, blocked from behind by C.J. Banis. Brilliant defensive play. It went off the driving Newberry, out of bounds, and the Blue Devils will get the possession back. C.J. Banis having an immediate impact in her return. Now she'll handle the controls. Out there with Fisher, Smith, Buckingham, and Hansen. Change of speed there from Fisher. Had it knocked away. Still plenty of time on the shot clock. Nice cut, Nicole Buckingham. She has an early 9 points, and it's a 15-2 start. Lawrence Tech's all-time leading scorer, Nicole Buckingham, reached the 1,000-point mark in December of 2017, and she's still leading the conference in scoring this season. Shade over 16 points per game, right on cue. Here's Buckingham to the cup. 17-2. It's an 8-0 run. A frazzled Lourdes team at the moment. Stripped away in the paint. That time was Ramaya Henry by Kendall Fisher, averaging a shade over 2 steals per game is Fisher. And now here's Buckingham. She stays hot, Nicole Buckingham. It's 20-2 Blue Devils. Head coach Kylene Biggs is clapping. A lot of high fives, a lot of smiles in the early goings. A 20-2 start with 3:44 to go in the opening quarter. You're watching Blue Devil basketball on LTSN in cruise control right now. Welcome back to Don Ruler Fieldhouse for the Blue Devils. Are off to a 20-2 start. It's an 11-0 run over the last 2.5 minutes. Lourdes is just 1 of 8 from the field, desperately trying to get going. Nicole Buckingham has something to say about that. Stops, a nice move. In transition, it's 22-2. 14 points on 6 of 7 for the WAC's leading scorer. She averages 16 a game. She already has 14. We still have 3:20 to go in the opening quarter. Stopping and popping off the mark was Sydney Miller, Huntsville, Ohio native. Back comes the Fort Wayne, Indiana native, Taryn Klein. One of the cooler personalities you'll get to chat with. Love talking with all these players, such good personalities. They really exemplify what this program is trying to achieve, that well-rounded culture, excellent team GPA, good character. Fisher will go to the free throw line. Fisher certainly exemplifies that good character, excellent family, Indianapolis native. First free throw is down. Two for two. And it's 24-2. I mentioned that the last time these two teams played, Lourdes jumped out to a 31-11 lead. This doesn't look like the same Grey Wolves team, and that's probably been too much of the theme for them all season long at 9-14. Inconsistency. Here's Deja Stafford. Guard with some nice handles. That's the third travel called on Lourdes. I mentioned still 2:41 to go in this first quarter. And right now it'll have to start on this end for Lourdes. Bannis back in the backcourt with Klein. Most improved player on this team, Emily Landgoff. Now here's Bannis, looking for her first bucket since returning. Klein will take. Around and off, Klein hits 6 triples, finishing with a career-high 21 points against Madonna in that dominant 131-39 game. The season-high 121 points for the Blue Devils. Pardon me. 24-2 now with 2:02 to go in this first quarter. Here's Landgoff in open. Bannis off the iron. Miranda Green. Deja Stafford will set things up. Blue Devils running the man-to-man defense well early on. The pump to go from Green, cut off by Bannis, who already has a block tonight. Entry feed. And Lourdes, just the second bucket of the game, that time coming from Serena Pitts, the Orlando native, redshirt sophomore. One dribble from Hansen, up and in. Make it 26-4. WAC's second team. All honors last year for Hansen. In her sophomore year, now a junior. Nice job to cut the drive off on the baseline. Kind of a double from Klein and Landgoff. Two very good friends off the court. Performing well on the court. And the early goings. Nifty pass from Landgoff. Hansen the finish. 28-4. Under a minute to go in the first quarter. It's a 19-2 stretch in favor of Lawrence Tech. Here's Pitts again. Nice double again. In the corner, Hardy. Another travel. That's 4 now for Lourdes in this quarter alone. Smith checks back in. The Blue Devils haven't even really gotten hot from deep yet. And that is one of the focal points of this offense. Shot clock is off for Landgoff, Smith, Fisher, Price, and Klein. 10 seconds. Fisher, Price, open space, but Denied at the apex that time by Jamie Hardy. Still 1 second. The heave from Green. Off the iron. Almost dropped. 28-4. The Blue Devils lead. Couldn't have asked for a better opening quarter. It was, in fact, the best opening quarter of the season for Lawrence Tech. In a big WAC matchup, Blue Devils still striving for what could be a home playoff first round down the road. Final month of the season, opening up February. We'll be back in about a minute here on LTSN. 28-4 after one. Welcome back to LTSN. Second quarter of action on a Saturday edition of Lawrence Tech basketball. Couldn't have asked for a higher scoring, more efficient first quarter. They shot 64%, 2 of 5 from downtown at 40%. A long distance try from the Ford. Hunter Kershaw back the other way. Here comes Fisher. Had a nice first quarter. This team blended really well in the first quarter. The offense is glowing right now. Buckingham had 14 in that opening quarter. Klein, 6 threes last time against Madonna. Working it around. It's one of the better defensive sequences, but now Kendall Fisher's open. Off the iron. Price almost got there, a bit over-aggressive, called for a foul. Credit the effort, though. First of our doubleheader on LTSN. Thank you for joining in on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you may be. 3 p.m. Eastern Time is scheduled start for the men's game against Lourdes. And Grayville's really took it to the Blue Devils in that first matchup in Sylvania. It was a 22-point win. Lawrence Tech on a 2-game winning streak on the men's side. Hoping to get to 500. Josh Pickens' crew. The hot shooting Buckingham back in the game now. Jamie Hardy has a sister on the team, Kaylee Hardy. Plenty of time for Christiana Jefferson. Same unit that started the game back out there. Landgolf, Price doubled, but Landgolf likes what she sees. Off the mark and back comes Enick. A streaking Hardy to the cup. And they'll get the reset and a fresh shot clock. Stutter step, jump pass, they whip it around. Here's Hardy. Kershaw, the 6-foot junior. Another double comes and another travel is forced. How about these double teams in the early goings for Lawrence Tech? Forcing turnovers and forcing travels in particular. Unruffled in the opening half for the Blue Devils. Going to string together some big WAC wins down this final stretch. Buckingham drills another. She has 19 now with 7:55 to go in the second quarter. Her season high is 31. Leading the WAC in scoring, Lawrence Tech's all-time leading scorer, having a brilliant first half. Blocked by Price was Kershaw. Here comes Fisher. Banis back to Fisher. The freshman got another start this afternoon. Price traveled there. Buckingham knocked down another 3. Would have been 22 points. But it'll go back to their way to the Gray Wolves. Long distance trigger goes that time at the other end for Sydney Miller. Gray Wolves were 0 of 7 from deep up until that point. Buckingham slicing and dicing, and she'll go to the line. Chance to eclipse the 20 mark with still 7 minutes to go in this first half. Last time out, it was a combination of Klein and Smith. As that first free throw drops, Klein at a career-high 21. Smith had her 3rd game this season with at least 6 threes. Absolutely ridiculous. Smith on the floor right now. Here's Jefferson. Driving. Nice, strong move to the cup from Jefferson. Second year with the Gray Wolves after transferring from Ursuline College. Production kind of dipped in the month of January for Jefferson. Meanwhile, Hansen and open Smith. Drills it. The Wax leader in three-point field goal percentage makes the lead 35-9. Riley Rayburn on the floor now for Lourdes, and here she is working against Smith. Kicks it out. They're looking for the entry, but a tough trigger from 3 from Sydney Miller instead. Knocked one down a couple of possessions ago. That one was well defended with 6:18 to go in the first half. Frigid weather around the Midwest. The polar vortex is what it was called. Took over the state and took over the conference throughout this week. Many games were postponed. The Blue Devils would have had a big game against Michigan Dearborn, 23rd ranked Michigan Dearborn on Wednesday, as Hansen's hook takes a shooter's hop off the iron and drops to make it 37-9. Blue Devils are one of 3 teams to defeat a much, much improved Michigan Dearborn team this year, as Miller tries her luck from deep once again to no avail. Hansen fouled her going the other way. Would have been a big game, as I mentioned. The Blue Devils will obviously still have to play them. That game was rescheduled for February 11th. A matchup that they'll have confidence in. I mentioned earlier the scenario probably fits the Blue Devils having the best chance of claiming a 4th spot, a home first-round playoff, if they were to win out, and they'll have to obviously beat Michigan Dearborn to do that. Siena Heights is 4th. They have a matchup with Indiana Tech, an Indiana Tech team that has won 22 straight games. Doesn't appear anyone is going to get in their way, as Hansen looking for a second consecutive bucket. Buckingham, the league's leading rebounder, flies in, hooks it up on the second chance, couldn't hit, still 37-9. Siena Heights still has to play Indiana Tech, so I mean, you look at that matchup, Indiana Tech certainly the favorite, although you can't doubt a Siena Heights team that the Blue Devils have lost to twice this season in close fashion. Buckingham continuing to do it on the defensive ends. Blue Devils have all favorable matchups as Banish tries from deep, around and off. They have all favorable matchups aside from a meeting with Michigan Dearborn. That's a tough matchup. You've beaten them already. You also have Rochester, a team that is currently 5th, just about a half game in front of Lawrence Tech. So that one will be at home here, and Blue Devils have beaten Rochester this season by 12, 53-41 earlier this year. That game took place at Rochester. It was an excellent defensive effort. So if you can beat Rochester and win out, you could be looking at a possibility that is all in the realm of possibility to claim that 4th spot in the conference. Now, Coach Biggs, knowing her, she's obviously competitive. She believes in this team. This team believes in themselves. Probably wouldn't matter where they played, but it would be cool to have a home playoff game. Hansen working down low, another strong move and another strong finish for the junior from East Lansing. Blue Blue Devils trailed by 7 with 2 minutes to go in the first meeting between these two teams. It was a miraculous comeback, undoubtedly the comeback of the year. Trailed by 21 at one point in the first half. Trailed 45-28 at halftime. Buckingham, who's having a brilliant effort, fittingly hit the game winner in that one with under 30 seconds to play. It's a 58-56 Blue Devil win as a second consecutive triple is drilled by Lourdes, and head coach Kylene Biggs wants to get things a little bit reorganized here. 39-17, little mini run for Lourdes, 6-0 over the past minute or so. They've hit their last 3. Best stretch of the game for the Grey Wolves. 3:37 to go second quarter. Blue Devils still very much in control. You're watching Blue Devil basketball on LTSN. Welcome back to LTSN. Out on the floor right now for the Blue Devils, it's the sophomore inbounding to the freshman, Taryn Klein, getting it into Kendall Fisher. The junior Smith, the senior Price, and the senior Buckingham. 5 out there for Lawrence Tech. Kendall Fisher takes and makes. 42-17, that's another 3, the 5th of the ball game. As a team for Lawrence Tech, one of the top three-point shooting teams in the conference, shooting 59% from the field, 45% from deep with 3:08 to go in this first half. Drilling a shot there to stem the tide a bit, Ramiah Henry. Lourdes for their last 4 after an awful start from the field. Smith. She's drilled a 3 of her own in this one. Was open there. Price tried to get it to her, but it was a really nice double team from Lourdes. Credit the Grey Wolves defensively there, but the tie-up possession arrow will stay with Lawrence Tech. When those doubles come, look for Smith in the corner. She's been open a couple of times. Referee's going to discuss this. Lawrence Tech will keep possession, obviously. 42-19 off a screen. Klein was open for a minute, but Buckingham takes and hits it again. And bearing the jumper with a nice touch. She has 22 on 9 of 11 shooting. It's been a scintillating offensive display from the Blue Devils in this first half, picking up right where they left off. We wondered if they would be a bit rusty, not having played since January 23rd due to the postponed Michigan-Dearborn game. Temperatures dipped as low as -40 with the wind chill earlier this week on campus. Classes were canceled twice, Tuesday and Wednesday. Those were the coldest days of the week. It was super cold on Thursday and Friday as well, as the polar vortex swept the state of Michigan and limited the WAC as Buckingham continues to dominate. Just has a nice feel for this game right now. She is just carving up Lourdes' defense. I mean, there was no resistance there. Nice little spin move, but it was rather methodical and just made her way to the cup. Tough drive there. Sharp angle from LaTrya Beasley, who's had a rough start to this one. Athletic forward. Haven't seen much of her imprints on this game so far. Buckingham posting up down low. They look for it, but a nice denial. Still posting up. Now they get it to her. Won the battle down low and add another to her total. Nicole Buckingham has 26 in the first half. 48-19. Beasley continues to struggle. Back to their way comes Fisher. Do they get it to the hot hand again? Here's the entry to Price. Look for the corners or the angle. Smith was open momentarily. Another entry to Price. Spin move. Off the mark that time after a brilliant move. Smith almost stole that, getting in the passing lane. It's a 6-0 run for the Blue Devils over the past minute 30. Nine and 14 Gray Wolves, 4-10 in the conference. Blue Devils at 17-7, coming off a record-setting 25-7 season. Head coach Kylie Biggs in her third season has done a brilliant job with this program, eclipsing the 50-win mark in her tenure. She's done it in a short time frame. This Blue Devil team made the NAIA National Tournament a season ago. Went down in the first round after finishing second in the WAC. They were picked to finish second this season. There have been some tight, hard-fought, somewhat frustrating losses this year. Had a couple of tight losses to Aquinas, one on this floor. Started the season 11-3. I had the chance to speak with Nicole Buckingham when they were 14-4, I believe, and she told me at that point they were dissatisfied still, despite what most teams would consider a relatively unblemished record at that point in the season. But meanwhile, they appear to be picking it up at the right time offensively. Landgolf open. That caught the side of the backboard out of bounds. 48-21 with 4.2 to go. Buda was also at a tight loss to Siena Heights. A couple of tight non-conference losses. The desperation heave, well off the mark. The Blue Devils have been on the mark, though, for this entire half. A 27-point first half lead. They'll head to the locker room in a happy mood. 48-21 Blue Devils after the first half. We'll be back on the other side of the intermission. Welcome back to LTSN's second half, getting underway here inside of the Down Riddler Fieldhouse. Pleasure to be with you, Jason Ross Jr., alongside our excellent LTSN crew. Blue Devils were an excellent crew themselves on this home floor in that first half, led by Nicole Buckingham's 26 points. That was a career high for a first half. 11 of 13 from the field, 3 of 4 from deep. Trying from deep that time with Sydney Miller. No. Here comes one of the most efficient from deep in the conference. The most efficient from deep in the conference. Caitlin Smith. Back to Kendall Fisher. Buckingham going right back to her. Finds an open Fisher. Tried to go baseline. Wasn't there, but Buckingham's three. Off the iron. Heat check. Chased down by Klein. That might have went off. Yep, it'll stay with Lawrence Tech. So a fresh shot clock off the hustle from Taryn Klein with 9:13 to go in this third quarter. (17-7) Blue Devils, 9-5 in the conference. 6th in the WAC right now, but a chance to move up. Smith, the runway into the paint. Now to Fisher in the corner. Buckingham comes up short. Price right there. A third chance on this possession. That's going to be a blocking foul and a couple of free throws for Rachel Price. Ramaya Henry called for the foul. Price remains perfect at the line. 3 of 3 now. The 81% free throw shooter, transferred from Tiffin a couple of seasons ago. One of the better rebounders on the team and one of the best defenders on this team. So now she has 6 points. Smith rips the board away. Bit of speed the other way. Klein with room. Goes to the cup. Puts it off the window and in. Taryn Klein with the slithery smooth drive. Klein's first bucket of the game, averaging about 8 points per game on the season. Was all WAC freshman team a year ago, and now she's doing it defensively with the board. Gets fouled. Beasley back in for Lourdes. Fisher with Klein, Price, Buckingham, and Smith. Some really solid guard play out on the floor right now. Speaking of solid guard play, oh, that just went around and off. Buckingham was able to corral it there and kept the position with Lawrence Tech, got fouled, and now she'll go to the line for 2 free throws. Leading the conference in rebounding, 9.5 per game. Knocks down the free throw there. Leading the conference in scoring. Having a spectacular senior season on the glass and doing it. Obviously scoring the ball. 28 points now to go along with 6 rebounds. Leads the WAC in double-doubles as well. Leaning floater there that time. A nice feathery touch from Kaylee Hardy, Perrysburg, Ohio native. It was Jamie Hardy, rather. My apologies. Her sister, Kaylee Hardy, is on the team as well. They're both sophomores. Lead is up to 31. Buckingham is picked up right where she left off with a nifty pump fake and going right back to the line. With now a chance to hit the 30-point mark. With still 7:32 to go in the third quarter. 56-23 after Buckingham's free throws go down, and give her 30 on the afternoon with still 7:22 to go in this third. A nice steal there from Bryce. Nifty handles from Fisher. Nice denial there by Beasley. Buckingham. 12 on the shot clock. Price was fouled, held by the smaller Hardy there on the cut. I think they're going to call this on the floor. Yep. It's a 3-second violation called on Lourdes. That'll send Price to the line. Bryce has been parked at the line tonight, and she's been efficient there, 6 of 6. And the lead continues to vault and grow for this Blue Devil team. The doubles and the help defense, it's been spectacular tonight. A tough bucket there in traffic, but that's been a big part of this performance so far. Buckingham cutting, 32. 2 away from tying her career high of 34. Tristan Jefferson, baseline jumper. We get an offensive foul on the screen from Price, and this is going to go back the other way. A couple of substitutions for Lourdes. Sarah Semler checks in along with Miranda Green. This is a Lourdes team that can have very spotty moments offensively. They don't have a single player that averages double figures in terms of points, as opposed to last year when they had 3. They lost their leading scorer, Tatiana Reynolds, to graduation. Once again, not a single player on this team that is in double figures per game. Blue Devils couldn't get the outlet, but they do get the steal. And now they can bring it across the half-court line with Fisher. Leading all WAC freshmen in scoring. Price, high-arcing shot off the glass is down for Rachel Price. It's 62-27. I'll tell you, I didn't expect this. I mean, look at the first game between these two teams. Lourdes jumped out to a 31-11 lead. You thought they would play with more confidence today, but it got somewhat tentative in the early goings when the Blue Devils just absolutely blitzed them in the first quarter. LTU jumped out to a 20-2 start. They haven't looked back, and Lourdes has never really truly gotten going on both ends. Had one mini run of 6 in a row. But rather than that, it's been all Blue Devils. Again, this was a tight game down the stretch. Blue Devils were down 7, if you could believe it, at Sylvania, Ohio last month. Nice back cut. Fisher whips it out. Here's Klein. Book it. Taryn Klein, 65-29. Blue Devils have hit their last 3. Beasley rattles it home. Looks more like the Beasley that we're used to seeing for this Lourdes team. Typically an aggressive player. Typically all over the floor. Klein thought about it. Nice close from Beasley, but then Klein was opened up. Miscommunication defensively. They had her sealed up, then just kind of left her alone. Easy jumper for Klein, who is beginning to warm up in this one. A career-high 21 points against Madonna. back on January 23rd. Blue Devils' last game and a last dominant victory. Smith this time. Short. Price chases down the board. It'll go off of Price, out of bounds. It was an 82-point win against Madonna on January 23rd, as we're going to have a timeout called by Lourdes. Meanwhile, the Blue Devils lead by 36. Could possibly be looking at back-to-back 40-point conference wins for Coach Biggs and company. We'll take a quick breather. You're watching Blue Devil basketball on LTSN. (67-31) on a rather warm day. What feels like summer here in the city of Southfield after sub-zero temperatures froze the state over the past week. It's a clear-skied, relatively warm 45-degree day here on this February 2nd, Saturday afternoon. Buckingham wide open for her career high. Danced off the rim, didn't drop. She still has 32. Back comes Semler. Little 2-on-1 with Enick. Hansen called for the foul. Coach Biggs still up on her feet, coaching intensely. It's the kind of culture she's built up in practices, in games, off the court. You've seen it legitimized in the record over the past couple of seasons. I mentioned 25-7 last year. It was a record-setting season for Lawrence Tech. Had a couple of home playoff games here, finished second in the conference. Assistant coach Kaylee Patton has done an excellent job. Tiffin ties between her and Coach Biggs. Coach Patton in her second season. Bannis back in the lineup. Here's Smith. She'll trigger. Foul going the other way. Didn't see it, but it's going to go back to Lourdes here. Coach Biggs started her playing days at Tiffin University, then followed up the days on the court with a coaching career. As a graduate assistant, was there for a 2-year stint. Then was hired as a full-time assistant in 2011-2012 season. Left her Tiffin family to become the assistant coach at Division I Kent State. Before taking the job here at Lawrence Tech. She's done a fabulous job, and this team has done a fabulous job all afternoon. Kendall Fisher has done a fabulous job in her freshman season, getting fouled, getting mobbed by her teammates, and rightfully so. The energy is pumping inside of the Riddler. It's 69-33 now with 2:07 to go in this third quarter. Buckingham tracked down the board off the missed free throw. They're going to call it travel and give it back to Lourdes. Drive there from Miranda Green, ripped away. Here is Fisher. In transition again. Nice action there from Hansen. Easy finish from Danny Hansen, East Lansing native. Hansen continuing to play well in this stretch of games. She's in double figures with 10 off the bench. Long range three the other way. Drops from Deja Stafford. Haven't called her name much tonight. Had a nice impact in the first meeting between these two teams. Not much of a score. got her career off to an auspicious start with a 14-point performance as a freshman last season. Buckingham for her career high. Nicole Buckingham has 35, and the Blue Devils are up 74-36. Her previous career high was 34. At a 26 points first half with 35. Could she hit 40 tonight? The WAC's leading scorer, the program's all-time leading scorer, is 13 of 18 from the field. That was her fourth triple, and it was the most important one, a milestone in her career, giving her 35 in a game that she certainly won't forget. The senior from Saginaw has put on a display of easy scoring this afternoon. Lita's balloons to 38 with under 30 seconds to go in the third quarter. 7-second difference between shot and game clock. Turning and misfiring. That sign was green, and now the shot clock is off for Lawrence Tech. Able to run that. Loose ball down was Fisher. Hansen open at the top. Looks like they're going to wind this clock down a bit. 6 seconds. Still talking. Banis with 2 seconds. They have to hoist. Smith couldn't get it off. Smith hit after the buzzer. Coach Biggs not particularly happy with that possession, but she'll certainly be happy with the score. 74-36 after 3. You're watching Blue Devil basketball, and what is the most second dominant performance of the season so far in WAC play for Lawrence Tech, despite the fact that it is a 38-point game. Blue Devils in their second consecutive dominant performance at home. We'll be back on the other side of this breather. Welcome back to LTSN. 10 minutes to go in this one. Blue Devil defense ranks second in the NAIA in total defensive efficiency. But today it's been the offense, and that's been the story over the last couple. Back-to-back 70-point performances. It's flowed like a well-oiled machine all afternoon. An absolutely sparkling performance from this group. An absolutely sparkling performance from Nicole Buckingham. Off the mark there, rare miss on this Saturday afternoon. Hardy with a hand in her face, off the mark. And Buckingham tracks down her 8th board of the game. CJ Banish still getting comfortable back in this lineup. Certainly good to have her back. The presence that she brings as a senior. Such a cerebral player and a vocal leader. And she makes it 2 seniors in the starting lineup. Didn't start today. Fisher still in there as Buckingham continues her tear. Now with 37. This offensive output is reminiscent of last night's Rockets versus Nuggets game. That was, at least on the Lawrence Tech side of things, 76 and doing it rather easily. Nice 3 there from Sydney Miller. That's her second triple of the game. Zone look now for Lourdes. They collapse on Hanson, able to slither her way through traffic. Fisher was opened up. Now the kick to Smith, thought about it, didn't have the space. 5 on the shot clock. Stopping and popping was C.J. Bannis. Buckingham trying to track down the board. Was she able to get that off the knee of Tristan Jefferson? No. And that'll give the ball back to Lourdes, and Landgolf and Hope Dollarhide check in for the Blue Devils. 8:03 to go, fourth quarter. A masterclass performance from this Blue Devil group. Building momentum at the right time as you head into the latter stages of the season. The final month of the season, currently 6th in the WAC, certainly can move up. Hope Dollarhide with a nice play right off the bench defensively. That's what she does. Excellent defensive plays as this will open up Smith the other way. Off the mark, and back comes Stafford. Little Euro step in there, and Dollarhide an immediate impact on the floor. Fell down. There was a tie-up. This will give the ball back to Lourdes. Klein getting set to check back in. Again, the nice double in the paint and the nice close from Buckingham. But better offense that time. It happens every once in a while. Jamie Hardy drills the triple, and she's had one of the better performances for this Lourdes team. Miller leading the way with 13 for Lourdes. Blue Devils going through their offensive motions, and this will stay with Lawrence Tech. Klein comes in for Buckingham. Gets it right away. Flips it back. Dollarhide. Around and out that time. They're going to call a blocking foul. I think the players originally thought that was going to be a shooting foul, but it was on the floor, and the air ball will give the ball back to LTU. Blue Devils have dominated the all-time history with Lourdes. 10-3 all-time. The Blue Devils have won 7 in a row over the Grey Wolves, and that appears to be a mark that will stretch to 8 in a row. This streak goes back to December 5th of 2015. Dollarhide doubled, slips it through to Klein, drills the triple. Taryn Klein, her second 3, up to 7 points. She's 4 of 5. Traffic down low. Klein emerges from the pack. Klein trailing the play. Sent it over to her friend Emily Landgolf. Here's Dollarhide. Got it to go. Hope Dollarhide drills it. Hope Dollarhide, one of the cooler personalities in all of the WAC. Always love chatting with Hope. Just landed an awesome new internship. Was a huge part of a comeback victory earlier this season versus Holy Cross in mid-December. It was a tough week. Finals were going on. They were traveling out of state twice in that week. Klein looking for another. Got it to rattle down. Taryn Klein is heating up. Give her 13 all of a sudden. After no points in the first half. It's 84-42 with 5:15 to go in the fourth. We'll take you to another breather on LTSN. A scintillating offensive output being displayed right now for the Blue Devils. 5:15 to go in the fourth quarter. Nicole Buckingham with 37 in this one. She's back out on the floor right now with Landgolf and Bannis, Dollarhide, and Ruster. Still some time for Nicole to possibly hit 40. It's a career high 37. Gray Wolves are just 16 of 51 from the field today. Just 6 of 24 from three-point range. Landgolf, the most improved player on this team. Could argue she's the most improved player in the conference. Ruster. Entry feed for Dollarhide. Ruster opens up. Connects. Alex Ruster right off the bench, joining the three-point party here inside of the Riddler. 87-42 with 4:19 to go now in the fourth. No flaws in this performance today. Man, it'll be tough to find one when you watch the film back. It started early, started efficiently, and they have not looked back. Buckingham. Double comes. Ruster looking for another. Jefferson. Semler grazed to the rim. And now the Blue Devils can push here. It's 2-on-2, so Landgolf will pull up. Off the mark. Ruster there to clean things up. Ruster right off the bench with a quick 5. Blue Devils on a 13-0 run. Their second 11-0 plus run of this game. Semler tries her luck again. That time comes up a bit luckier. Semler just her second bucket of the game, just her first made field goal. Lead is 45. Can the Blue Devils make it two 40-point WAC wins in a row? Ruster. Dollarhide. Feeling good, Hope Dollarhide. She has 5. Everyone has officially joined the party. It's 92-44. This team really puts a focus on the three-point shooting, and I mean that is obviously where the offense has flowed today. In the beginning of this game, it wasn't so much the three-point shooting. It was more Buckingham simply carving up the defense. Everyone else fed off of that. But the three-point shot is alive and well here inside of the Riddler once again. That was the 11th of the game. Blue Devils will improve to 10-5 in conference play. They've played very well on this home floor for the second consecutive season. It'll make them 10-3 on the home floor. But the 10-5 in conference play, probably the most important note of all. Rochester at 10-5. They'll play number 20 Siena Heights at 3 p.m. They won't be favored in that one, so the Blue Devils couldn't move up to number 5 in the conference. Buckingham off the mark there, looking for 40. Still 2:28 to go. Smile on the face of Coach Biggs. Buckingham will check out maybe for the final time today. Big hug there with Coach Biggs. If it is the final time for today, it was a career-high 37. An unforgettable performance from the WAC's leading scorer and the all-time leading scorer in this program. Certainly will be a mark on her senior year. Dazzling performance from the Saginaw native. Such a good person off the court. Always fun to chat with. Kind of a laid-back personality. One of the funny things, though, is you wouldn't believe it if you watched this game, but she told me she wasn't much of a scorer in high school. And that kind of developed in college. The reason she actually ended up with LTU was because, as Hope Dollarhide fades off the mark there, the reason she ended up at LTU was, well, she knew she wanted to be an engineer, but there was a recruiter actually looking Had one of the other players on the floor in one of her high school games. They spotted Nicole. That's how this excellent relationship with Blue Devil basketball started up. Long tap back out. Another possession. Rebounding battle has favored Lawrence Tech, and they've been in front of that battle for most of the season. They're going to hit 18 wins for the third consecutive year. Dollar-Hyde. A quick 7 for Hope Dollar-Hyde. Lourdes, just one of their last 10 from the field. Ruster tried to deny the passing lane. Diving there, Rayburn. Did they call it? They called a blocking foul there. 94-46. Can you believe this after the first matchup that these teams played? I simply can't. And that free throw drops. It's now a 47-point lead for the Blue Devils. Second is off, and Hope Dollar-Hyde continues her play off the bench. Landgolf has seen a lot of minutes tonight. Her minutes have increased a lot this season. Another good effort on the offensive glass, but a fortuitous carom up to Deja Stafford. Was fouled there on the way down the court. Under a minute to go now. On the other side, this is one of the most disappointing performances for Lourdes, and it follows up what was, at the time, their most disappointing performance of the season against Michigan Dearborn. They're coming off a 69-37 loss, and there's clearly something not right at the moment. So they're going to suffer back-to-back 30-plus point defeats in conference play. They had been inconsistent, but they haven't suffered back-to-back losses like this all year long. In the beginning of the season, they started 4-5, but then went on a 5-game whack losing streak that really set them behind the 8 ball. This is a program that has never finished above 500 in program history. Head coach John Kenger and company will go back to the drawing board. Head coach Kylie Biggs and company will be very satisfied with this win. Tough to find a flaw with today's victory. 94-49 the final, highlighted by a career-high 37 from Nicole Buckingham. Everyone got involved on this wonderful Saturday afternoon. Aquinas coming up on February 6th. That'll be a matchup in Grand Rapids. Aquinas took the first one. A well-deserved salute from this home crowd. Blue Devils get to 10-5 in conference play, and they could improve to 5th in the conference. Head coach Kylie Biggs, a big hug with Olivia. A fun one at the Riddler. Again, the second of our doubleheader coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Blue Devil men out on the floor against the Lourdes men in about 35 minutes. Pleasure to bring you this one. Jason Ross Jr. signing off for Kia Tyus and Desi Cook behind the camera tonight.